a preliminary report about the plans that are in the works for our annual International Working Women's Day mobilization. So everyone should mark your calendars, because fortunately March 8th this year falls on a Saturday, which is really great. And this is really our 10th, I believe. We've been doing this since 2004 in the present period in terms of having International Working Women Day activities. And since we established the Women's Fight Back Network, which really started in Boston, but now it's really, also in Philadelphia and now in New York. When we did this several years ago, out of that came the International Working Women's Day Coalition, which we've been organizing, rallies and marches and cultural events that commemorate IWD as a worldwide day of struggles for women, about women, and led by women against all forms of capitalist and imperialist exploitation and oppression. And one of our main slogans that really has helped to distinguish us over these last years has been that, quote unquote, every issue is a woman's issue. And for instance, just to give you a few examples for those who are sort of new to what we've been doing over the last several years, in 2012, and this is just months after the Occupy Wall Street phenomenon that happened, we gathered at the Bull on Wall Street, where the coalition held a rally in sub-freezing temperatures to expose the crimes of the 1%. And some of our demands included, freedom for political prisoners like Lynn Stewart, who of course now is out, Dr. Afia Siddiqui, and also we were denouncing, this is just really a month after the murder of Trayvon Martin, and as part of a, the war against youth of color, and we also included Marley Graham and Sean Bell and others victims of police brutality and their families. And we then marched to the front of City Hall to denounce then billionaire Mayor Bloomberg as a representative of the 1%. And then we went to One Police Plaza to protest police brutality. And then last year, like most years, we rallied at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire Memorial, where in 1911, close to 150 women workers, most of them teenagers and immigrants, were either burned alive or forced to jump to their deaths from windows when the bosses locked all of the fire exit doors. And then we marched across the street to a rally in the Washington Square Park. This is a rally initiated by the Women Organized to Resist and Defend. We had speakers there. We actually exchanged speakers. One of their speakers came to the Triangle. Brenda Stokely and a few others spoke at their rally, and then we marched together. And last year was really, really special. We try to do something, sort of unique every year, besides the usual things that our women allies like to do, like go to the Triangle. But last year was really special because it was the centennial of the death of Harriet Tubman, the anti-slavery freedom fighter. And so we had signs that you can see over here. I'm Harriet Tubman, a freedom fighter. We marched with those signs. And also in the Bronx, our allies in the Bronx, the Women Workers for Peace and La Pena, they held a wonderful play honoring Harriet Tubman during International Working Women's Month. And I hope one day they really, redo that play, because it was really, really something special. So just a little bit of a background in terms of some of the things that we've done over the years. And this year is no exception. We have some really exciting plans in the works. The coalition met for the first time, really on a 1 to 2 week notice. We were expecting maybe, 10 women to come to the meeting. This was last Sunday. But, between 15 and 20 women came to our meeting, and half of them were young, under the age of 25. And there are also representatives of the Honduran resistance, thanks to Lucy's organizing. She had to go to a conference along with Teresa and Nalani on the crisis in Honduras, but Lucy made sure that the Honduran resistance, and especially the role that women are playing in that resistance, were represented, and Meches was able to translate for them, and they really played a great role in the meeting. So out of that meeting, with the view of always trying to unite all of the different struggles and promoting women's liberation through resistance, we decided to call a Working Women's Assembly at the Triangle Memorial. And this is in keeping with the building of the People's Power Assembly and the Workers' Assembly here and across the country, like in Baltimore and San Diego and other cities. And everyone was really pretty excited about this proposal. We talked a little bit about what the assembly is, how it's different from other, actions. And we especially thought it would be important to have this type of assembly in light of the fact that the current upsurge of underpaid workers in many of the service sector industries, like we saw here with the airport workers or the fast food workers or the restaurant workers, we could go on in terms of, Walmart, etc., Targets, are led by women, and especially women of color, including immigrants. So we really felt that, it would be important to have representatives, not just talking about the struggles, which is very, very important because so many of us are involved with these struggles, but providing a platform for the voices of women who are really live this struggle day in and day out, so they can have a voice and talk about, as you saw here, what they're going through, on a daily basis with their fight and with their struggle. And really the assembly gives the opportunity to unite and bring together all of these voices under a strong anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist umbrella. So that's really what we're hoping to do with this assembly. And then we had a wonderful brainstorming session at the meeting last Sunday, just to give you a view of some of the issues that were raised, because there were a few trans women there too, and they were talking about the violence and discrimination against trans women, the access to health care for trans women, the cutback on food stamps, of course the underpaid low-wage workers' struggle, the workers' struggle abroad, linking what's going on with Walmart to what happened in Bangladesh last year with the fire, linking those struggles because it's one struggle, one fight against global capitalism. Solidarity with working women, workers around the world, including indigenous women. Again, Honduras was raised, and et cetera. Talking about imperialism, supporting political prisoners from Assata Shakur. We're hoping that maybe Lynn Stewart can join us. We certainly want to recognize her if she can come. That would be just tremendous. Such a boost for this assembly. The need for students to have access to mental health services, the need to promote resistance, what's going on with immigrant women in terms of the undocumented women, legalization for all, the whole issue of deportations, etc. The anti-militarization issues like U.S. bases out of the Philippines, equal pay for equal work, reparations for people of African descent and for the indigenous in terms of land reform, the right to housing, the right to health care, jobs not jails, end to rape, trafficking, and forced prostitution, housing, Section 8, affordable housing, the whole issue of the objectification of women and their bodies. The sort of list sort of goes on, but it was a really great brainstorming session. So this is a proposed scenario for March 8th. And we're having another meeting this Sunday at 3:30, from 3:30 to 6. So if any women, comrades, or friends want to attend, it's from 3:30 to 6 here. We're going to be going over the literature. Leland is laying out a beautiful piece of literature for March 8th, and we're going to review that. And I'll talk about that toward the end. But what we want to do from 12 to 2 at the Triangle, we're going to gather at the Triangle. Depending on the weather, we want to march after the assembly. And we want to stop at different places and have mic checks. Whether you stop at Wendy's, stop at McDonald's, to support the fast food workers, the low-paid workers, stop at banks, which is, Tony Murphy talked so eloquently about the role of the banks in terms of austerity and how that's impacting women, and different places like that. And then we want to march back here for more political discussion, to have dinner, to do political outreach, to socialize. Comrade Amani's going to play music as we're socializing. So we really want to come back here and have people just sort of relax, but also continue the political discussion and continue the assembly if we have to, depending on the weather. Okay, and now there's a two-prong approach that we're having for International Working Women's Month. It's not just the day, but the month itself. And that is, we want to, probably around 2 weeks later on March 22nd, the coalition is going to be holding a Can We Live mini-conference at Boys and Girls High School in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. And for those of you who remember last year, there was a wonderful skit that the students, especially the women, high school students, that they put on in honor of Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. And so we were able to go there and show some films and, support these students. It was really, that was a great experience too. And the guy who helped organize that, Stan Kennard, wants us to come back to do a follow-up activity with the students. So we thought about this Can We Live mini-conference, which was initiated by our coalition back in 2010, because we rallied at the Harriet Tubman statue in 2010, and then we marched to a senior center in Harlem for a strategy meeting. And so the Can We Live campaign came out of that strategy meeting, which is really a 10-point program of broad fundamental issues that impact the lives of women here and around the world, whether that's the right to housing, to education, to food, to reproductive justice, health care, a clean environment, a society free of racism, sexism, etc. And so, again, the Assembly is going to be taking up many of these issues in a very agitational way at the Triangle, but the mini-conference will be a follow-up in terms of furthering and deepening the political roots of these issues from an anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist perspective, and also using these issues as a catalyst to help build and strengthen the skills of women who are either activists who can really share those skills, and for new people who want to develop those skills. So it's going to be a 4-hour mini-conference at Boys and Girls High School. So I'm not going to go into much more details about that because there'll be more forthcoming. But so comrades, really in conclusion, this is just really a short overview of what is being projected for March 8th and for International Working Women's Month. This is the 104th anniversary of IWD. So we really hope that you come on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun, have food and everything. We're going to, again, be talking about the literature, and also we are developing subcommittees to work on March 8th, which include outreach and media and press and promo, logistics and the program, and to start planning for this mini-conference. And if you want to be a part of the IWWD coalition listserv, just let me know after the meeting so your name can be added. And also Irma Behar, who is a coordinator of the coalition, and she's right upstairs, part of the Audre Lorde Project. She set up a wonderful Facebook page for the coalition. And it's updates there. You can endorse. We're asking for organizations to endorse March 8th, and we already have an impressive list, of endorsers for the 8th, like Gabriella, Women Workers for Peace, La Peña, the Taller Experimental de Art, International Action Center, of course the Women's Fight Back Network, Bayon USA, the New York Committee for Human Rights in the Philippines, the Philippine Forum. Rosa Maria just said that the Chelsea Housing for Coalition has just endorsed. So anyway, I think it's going to be really one of our, most exciting IWD events. And of course, the male comrades and friends are strongly encouraged to play a very supportive organizational role, as has been done in the past, and we really appreciate that. But we're going to call on you again to help provide childcare during the activities, to provide food, to do setup of the hall, while the march is going on, the assembly, to help with outreach. We hope that some of you will attend the assembly and the march, and so there'll be more information about this. And also, I think on March 1st, which is also a Saturday, we're going to be holding a work session here, so also mark your calendars for March 1st. We're going to be putting together placards and banners and literature and the sound and, the drums and the chants and, all that's going to be worked on the 1st or leading up to the 1st. So any time and energy that you can give to help with this mobilization will be greatly appreciated. So on to building a powerful International Working Women's Day, and let's unite to win women's liberation all around the world. Thank you.